are the Vanguard.
지금 우리 팀이 수치상 많이 불리하긴 하지만 게임은 어떻게 될지 모르는 거고, 우리 팀이 갖고 있는 장점을 살리면 이길 수 있다고 생각했어요. 일단 우리 팀 챔피언 조합을 보면 글로벌 궁극기를 가진 챔프, 그리고 끊어먹기와 합류 싸움에 특화되어 있는 바드 헤카림이 있었어요. 상대팀의 상황을 보면 앨리스한테 골드가 집중되어 있었어요. 그래서 저의 판단은 기동성이 빠른 헤카림으로 앨리스를 잡으면 이길 수 있다고 생각을 해서, 지금은 양팀 모두가 바론을 중요하게 생각하는 상황이에요. 상대는 우리보다 자신있게 바론을 칠 수 있는 상황이에요. 적의 시야가 다 보이진 않았지만 시비르가 바텀에 라인 클리어를 하는 상황이었고, 탑 웨이브를 처리하기 위해 탑에 한 명이 갈 것이라 생각했죠. 우리 팀은 글로벌 궁극기와 빠른 기동성으로 합류해 적어도 4대5 싸움을 만들 수 있다 생각해서 헤카림과 함께 앨리스를 노리면서 싸움을 시작했어요. 제가 앨리스한테 먼저 스턴을 딱 넣고 헤카림이 달려오면서 애쉬의 궁극기까지 앨리스한테 적중했어요. 상대는 앨리스를 도와주려고 뒤늦게 합류했지만 이미 앨리스는 전장에서 이탈했고, 빠른 합류를 통해 수적 우위로 이득을 본 거예요. 싸움을 지속해 큰 이득을 보고 역전을 했죠. 제가 궁극기를 잘 맞췄으면 저도 죽지 않았을 테지만 항상 스킬을 다 맞출 순 없잖아요. 저도 사람이니까.
I went straight out of high school into uni and I started studying surveying. I was always playing League, and then it got to the stage where OPL got so intense and I dropped it. And then I finished my third year uni, spoke to Nathan and he was telling me about everything that's going to happen next year. He said OPL is becoming all LAN, and I was just intrigued and I said, look, I'm giving it my all, and I decided to quit my job, defer uni and move and decide to commit as a coach. There's different types of coaching. So I know I've heard from some people that Coma, the SKT coach, he'll already have a draft and whatever he says goes. Whereas me personally, I kind of give a general direction of where the draft's going to go. And I'll ask questions to the players, but okay, because I usually come up with a draft, what to ban, and then from that information, pick a champion. We don't focus too much on the opponent we're versing. The only thing we change in terms of team to team is the draft. So you should play ideal League of Legends against every team. We don't really change too much in between teams. It's more about focusing on what we need to do, what we're improving on. All of your preparation should be done before your game, regardless. So if something's not going right, it's too late to fix it. You're not going to change major errors in your gameplay between games. So it's more about keeping spirits high, making sure they're not too cocky, keeping them in a good mental state for the next game. If you want to win, you have to be able to give up everything. You're not going to be able to have a job on the side. You're not going to be able to hang out with your friends on a Friday night, whatever. You have to live and breathe the game.
Welcome back to the Oceanic Pro League. My name is Michael Hingersing, and if you're just joining us, the Chiefs have 2-0'd Exile 5 in our first match of the day. And we're about to get into match number 2, which is Tainted Minds taking on Direwolves. Joining me at the desk is Nathan Mendrix-Mendez, our in-house OPL analyst, and also captain of Team Legacy, Tim Carbon-Wender, with the big thumbs up. And boys, there's been a lot of changes to both of these lineups over the last 24 hours. In particular, I want to start by just talking about the Direwolves, because they are going to be debuting a new jungler. But for people who haven't, maybe who are just joining the OPL, Mendrix, what do you want to know about the Direwolves? What is their sort of like, what's their core characteristic?
So the Direwolves at the moment, I feel they're sort of the bad boys of the OPL at the moment. And what I mean by that is they're not afraid to give some attitude out there. You know, whether it be sleeping on camera or sort of just giving some lip while they're or some shade out there when they're doing their interviews. These guys aren't afraid to do that. And it even translates to in-game as well. We're talking about when they were playing, and when Chippy specifically was playing Kennen, he sat on roughly an item and a half worth of gold. That is huge to be sitting on that much value and not buying. It's basically saying, I don't need my items to kill you.
Yeah, would you say it's disrespectful? It seems disrespectful to be like, I straight up don't need items to kill you.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's just sort of like, nah, like, I'm fine, I can kill you without this, even though it's a massive amount of gold to be sitting on.
All right, well, Carbon across the map, their opponents today are going to be Tainted Minds. Obviously, Nero tweeted last night that he's left the organization after being on this very desk, sitting in your hot seat yesterday. So they are coachless today.
Yep.
But for Tainted Minds, you've kind of been around and seen them, and a lot of new players this split. How do you think their season's going so far?
I think that they would be. I think they would have been disappointed with losing to Chiefs. We scrimmed Tainted Minds a lot. The first few weeks, I think they had a real rapid improvement behind the scenes. And so I was kind of expecting big things from them this year. I thought within the 3 weeks they had improved so much. I thought if they can keep this up, they might very well be the best team in the OPL. But unfortunately, there appears to have been some hiccups at home. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Anera has left, and that's obviously a huge blow, not having a coach. Drafting is so important this year, especially with the introduction of the 10-ban system. So I think that's definitely going to hurt them today. Expectations now, I'm not so sure.
All right, well, let us get straight to it, because earlier today I spoke to team captain of Tainted Minds, Rosie, and I started by asking him about losing the coach and what kind of impact that was having on the team.
I mean, it has a pretty big impact, but we're trying not to let it affect us, especially going into our game today. It's kind of hard for us to, think about it, but we just got to move on.
Does that mean that as captain you will be taking on the drafting responsibilities?
Not really. We kind of just do it all as players anyway. Like, even when we had Nick as our coach, we'd all put in our input, so we should still be able to do it fine.
Excellent stuff. Well, your opponent, Star Wolves, are debuting new jungler Schönfire today. Do you know much about him? Because he's been away for 2 years.
I guess the last 2 years haven't really known, but like when he was, still back in OCE, like he'd always be like subbing in for Dire Wolves and stuff when junglers weren't there. So I guess we all kind of have a history with him and seeing him play, so it should be interesting.
When you say interesting, I mean, drill down on that. Like,
well, we know that he has a different playstyle than Sybil, so I think we actually prefer that they're using Schönfire this week because we actually know how Sybil plays and it kind of annoys us. So I guess we're kind of happy in that way that they're using Schönfire.
Excellent stuff. So, what's your prediction for today? You feeling confident?
Yes, actually, for some reason, I'm feeling more confident this week than last week, so I reckon we can 2-1 them.
Oh, excellent. Well, best of luck in the game, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Rosie, they're just captain of Tainted Minds, saying more confident this week than last week when they lost 2-0 to the Chiefs. Well, let's take a look at the guys as they're getting ready in our studios. Tainted Minds there. Choo-Choo's looking very relaxed. Reading some sweet books there as well, and probably some drafting notes because they are coachless. Let's go through their lineup, shall we? Prated in the top lane. Their jungler, Shorter Ace. Mid laner, Choo-Choo's. Their AD carry, Cake. And their support, Rosie, their captain, who we just spoke to. And Mendrix, when you are coachless, does it kind of revert to, how you might play online, I guess? Because a lot of the time when you're playing to solo queue, you're not going to have a coach.
Not really. I mean, they've had a good amount of time where they have been with Anero, so they've sort of picked up his initial play style and sort of say, okay, this is how we like to work with, and that's probably what they're going to stick to. It's the habits that they're going to stay with, and when they do happen to pick up a new coach, that's when they have to make the change, and it will be tough for them. And it's going to be hard, especially in that pick and ban phase, as they're going to have to do that a bit solo. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust to it, whether it's still going to be that team-focused or team-centric focused play style that they do, or if they're going to actually revert more to solo queue laning.
All right. Well, Carbon, you've seen, 2 weeks of these guys play so far? What are you expecting from them today going up against the Dire Wolves?
Well, we saw last week they played, I think, Ziggs Jace both games.
Mm-hmm.
Be curious to see if they play that again, or if they've got something new up their sleeve. I'm not really sure, to be honest. They haven't been scrimming that much, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to make a judgment call on that. The back of my mind, I kind of think they're going to do the same thing as last week because I don't think that they would have learnt anything new this week.
All right.
So I'm kind of expecting something like the Ziggs Jace, but. It's tough to call.
All right, well, across the rift, Their opponents today are Direwolves. Earlier today, I spoke to their new jungler, Schönfire, off the back of his 2-week competitive ban. And I started by asking him to introduce himself to OPL fans and asked him, what do you want them to know about you?
I want them to know that I don't have a play style. I would like to be known as a complete player who can play everything and do anything.
Are you feeling confident and comfortable moving into this new team house?
Yeah, definitely with the preparation that I've had, I definitely feel confident in my play.
And moving from solo queue elsewhere in the world to kind of doing pro play in OS, how has that transition been for you?
I think it's very easy. If you look at Korean solo queue players, they transition very well because in Korean solo queue, it's very close to competitive, and I would say it's probably higher quality than some competitive OS games.
So you're feeling pretty confident ahead of today's matches?
I think I'm here to dominate. I'm not here to compete, so yes.
So a 2-0, not a 2-1, you reckon?
All I'm looking for is to dominate. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how it happens.
Awesome. Well, best of luck in the matches, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you.
What's your reaction to that? All he's looking to do is to dominate. Doesn't matter how it happens. As a jungler and a captain, is that the kind of guy you would like on your team, Carbon?
Well, I think I start by saying that it doesn't really make sense, right? Because you asked if he was going to 2-0, and he said that he's just going to dominate. It doesn't matter how. And if you ask me, a 2-1 doesn't sound very dominating. But look,
he's saying personally. I think he's saying, right?
Oh, right, he's dominating.
I think he's saying like I don't really
as long
care
as he
if
dominates, he
yeah,
doesn't
we
mind
drop
if
a
he
game.
loses.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, that's curious. No, look, I think in the sharp intro, he kind of said one of his jobs was to keep his players from being too cocky in between games.
Absolutely.
Sounds to me like he might have his work cut out for him. But no, in all seriousness, look, he's obviously a pretty talented guy.
Yeah.
He's been very highly ranked on a number of different servers.
NA and Korea.
NA and Korea, yep. So I'm very excited to see him play. Hopefully he brings the high standard that everybody expects of him. It would be really cool to see a star OS player.
All right, well, let's take a look at Team Direwolves as they're getting ready right here in the studios. As we bring up their lineup, it'll be Chippies in the top lane. Their jungler would be Sybil, but instead Schönfire is subbing in. Their mid laner Fantix. Their AD carry King, your old mate, Carbon, and support player Destiny. And
Carbon's awake this week, good to see.
And Medrix, we look at this team, I mean, they've got a lot of attitude on them.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, you could just feel it coming through that interview as well that that Schönfire put forward. And it's something that might bite them, might come back to bite them. They really do need to sort of respect their opponents. We saw it happen with the Chiefs game when they were playing around a bit. They ended up giving up a few kills. Who knows what would happen in terms of punishments. And especially if you go up against a team that can actually play the macro game, you could be in for a world of hurt if you continue to have that sort of attitude going into games.
Yeah, because the Direwolves are known for a strong laning phase, right? And you put them up against a team like they were last week, and they can dominate that and just kind of close out the game that way. This week, they're with Tainted Minds. Are they, in your opinion, Carbon, are they mechanically better than their opponents in such a way that they can play that same play style where they just don't really need to play macro? It's just those laning phases.
Potentially, I think. I think if they get an early lead, they definitely have the potential to just kind of brute force their way into the base with a 1-3-1 or, I mean, even holding normal lanes. That would be strange to me. But I suppose they could do it if they get ahead early, if Schönfire gets unlocked. But I would think that against a team like Tainted Minds, a little bit of more macro would be required to beat them.
Mendrix, what are you predicting from this game? Not in terms of result, but in terms of where this map will be won and lost.
What I really want to look at is the top lane specifically. And the reason for that is that Praediff and Chippies like to play carry laners. So when you have those two sort of going up each other, it leads to more flashy fights up in the top lane. It means that you get a lot more focus actually going between the two of them there. And at the end of the day, what you find happening is perhaps Camille will be left open and they'll be baiting that out between each other.
I think a really interesting graphic here. I think kill participation again is the big stat. Praediff is significantly higher, and you can also see in his past picks that he has one extra tank than what Chippies has. But Chippies having only 51% kill participation is actually quite low. What it says to me is that he really likes to split push. He's not really interested in joining his team, and that kind of gives you some insight into the Direwolves playstyle.
And when we look at those stats, average damage dealt is total damage, not damage done to champion. So is that damage increase that he has probably from
Hitting
the
the
time
towers.
he's spent in,
precisely.
in lane just
Yeah.
hitting minions and towers?
Yeah, exactly.
And what I actually want to touch on that there specifically as well is it sort of illustrates the representations of their play styles. And the reason for that is Direwolves like to have this lane dominant focused team fight. They're sort of not grouping, and that makes sense for their kill participation to be lower because of that. Whereas with Tainted Minds, they are more team focused centric, and because of that, you see that generally all their players would be more involved in team fights as they happened around the map.
Well, we have a jungler here sitting amongst us, so let's take a look at the jungle matchup for today, because it's going to be Shurnfire up against Shorter Race. And what strikes you about Shorter? I mean, that's a pretty high kill participation as well, right? 76%.
Yeah, Shorter Race definitely gets involved. He's definitely a playmaker for that team. You saw last week on the Zac and also the week before. You know, when something happens, it's usually him pulling the trigger first. So for Tainted Minds to be successful today, look for him to be engaging.
You look at those picks, though. Rengar, I mean, everyone loves to play Rengar.
Yep.
Zac is kind of an odd pick, though.
It is. I think there were a significant number of jungle bans that week,
he was banned that week,
and that's something we're seeing more and more. And that's one of the cool things about the 10-ban system is that we're seeing more and more diverse picks.
And another thing is that it was interesting. I feel that was more sort of them going for that particular team composition. They wanted to have a focus on towers in that specific game that they went for Zac, and every single time Shorter Ace was sort of the trigger that they used to pull everything from happening. They sort of said, yep, go in Shorter Ace, and then they had Ziggs to follow through to make sure they could get the towers afterwards.
All right, so Shorter Ace, Jungler, and Triggerman for Tainted Minds. Well, if you're watching at home, hashtag IamOPL, let us know your thoughts, but also that we are currently running a competition on our Facebook page. Who is your favorite player? And if it's not Tim Carbon Wendell, I mean, he's right here, guys. He's right in front of you.
Come on.
It's offensive, really. No, go there and tell us who your favorite OPL player is, and the top 5 most creative answers will win a mystery skin. We talked about yesterday who our OPL bays are, but you weren't here. So, Carbon, you can't pick a legacy member.
Right.
So, who's your OPL bay? Who's your favorite?
My favorite OPL player who's not in
your own team.
Not in my own team. That's a tough one, actually.
What, you refuse to acknowledge?
No, there's so many.
Oh, right, of course. How can we possibly choose?
I got a lot of side bays in the OPL. No, look, King from the Direwolves was a close friend of mine for a long time, and I still very much get along with him.
Right.
Ejim from the Chiefs as well.
All right. Two's enough, mate. Two's enough.
Well, look, you asked me to name them.
I asked you to name one. All right.
Well,
Anyway,
I explained. I explained.
All right, well, let's get your predictions before we move into this game. Mendrix, let me start with you. Who's going to win this and by what margin?
Okay, so I understand that Tainted Minds at the moment have been having a bit of trouble off field, and I feel that's going to play a bit of a role coming into this particular game. So I feel this series, it's going to be a 2-0 for Direwolves.
A 2-0 to the Direwolves. All right, well, Carbon, do you agree?
Yeah, look, I think TM has probably not had the best prep this week. I think Direwolves will be looking to make a big splash. So I'm also going to go with Direwolves 2-0.
All right. Well, I think on the podcast I said it was Direwolves 2-1. So I'm sticking with that because I'm not a coward like I was last week and the week before. All right. That is enough from us here at the analyst desk. Let us throw it over to get into game 2. To our casters, it's Fish and Spawn.
Thank you very much, Hingers. I'm still Matthew Fish Stewart. Still joining me is Jake Spawn Tiberi, and that's 2 for 2 on the desk there. First, asking for game timers and asking who OPL side baits are, and don't know, it just seems like every time that Carbon gives an answer, it's just shut down.
Yeah, it certainly does. The other thing I want to point out is that Carbon has just named every ex-Legacy player as opposed to current Legacy players in all of his favourite OPL people. So I was surprised, Minky Whale wasn't thrown out there at the same time. Of course, he's retired now, but that's an interesting tactic. I mean, if you can't pick your current team, just pick your former team.
Well, speaking of Minky Whale, he actually has the most comments right now as the favourite player of the OPL. Unfortunately, not eligible because he's not currently playing in the OPL. Hopefully we can get good old Tim Wendell to get him as a substitute game.
Soul Strikes, if you can keep it that way that Minky's not playing, I will be eternally in your debt because I don't want to see Shyvana running around Summoner's Rift.
Well, we're already flying through picks and bans here for Tainted Minds as well as the Direwolves. Tainted Minds recently lost their coach in Nara, so we won't be helping them out with this one.
I just want to clarify that we didn't actually lose an Arrow. I mean, he is still with us. He's no longer choosing to coach the organization, which, has to be a big toll. I mean, he did tweet about it last night. And the other thing that's important to note is that he was very vocal that they'd had a little bit of internet trouble during the week, so they hadn't been scrimming as much. He apologized to Legacy, and the players were also quite vocal about that on Twitter. So it seems to be a multifaceted problem in the Tainted Minds house right now. It's not just like an arrows, packed up and left back to the States or something like that. He's still there, but, there seems to be some things going on.
And you can see Cake on your screen there with his recipe book, deciding what type of cake he wants to whip up today. What is that? The Summoner's Code. Oh.
Cake's just taking a note out of the Summoner's Code. He's a very polite summoner fish. You need to calm down, my friend. Take us through the bands.
Well, the bans coming out from the red side are the same as we normally see Camille, Rengar, and LeBlanc hitting the bench. We've seen a lot more Camille bans being last now, not being banned out quite early on as a draft phase, as Rise, Kha'Zix, and as well as Varus actually going to be banned out here by Tainted Minds. They're going to get the first pick of Jace and no Varus to respond by the Direwolves. They're going to be picking up Elise for Shonefire, an actual pocket pick of Sybil when he was playing for the squad. And we have Misfortune being locked in quite early.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see where Shonefire and Sybil's champion pool actually overlaps because, we keep hearing this, Shern, much more of a carry-oriented jungler, likes to be in the other jungler's face and a little bit more brawly, whereas Sybil definitely a pathing jungler, especially between top and mid lane to keep Chippies and Fantix nice and safe. I want to see whether that is also a flexible Misfortune, because we have seen, I think, a couple of MF Zyra lanes being whipped out in the NALCS.
And Zyra is still left up and is available for Direwolves to pick up, and looks like they might actually go towards it. I would like to see this, and we are going to get to see it. The prophecy is true here, Spawn. How do you do it?
I mean, I just know that Sharp checks out other regions and watches a game, so it's a pretty strong lane at the moment. I mean, Misfortune always gets strong when there is lethality or armor penetration, just because how her ult repetitively applies and does lots of nice damage, and it's a potent bully lane.
One of my favorite AD carries as well. We'll have to see how King's going to be able to use this one in this match for the Direwolves, which means their mid lane as well as their top laner have yet to be picked here. For the side of Tainted Minds, they go for the early Jace pick, which is expected, as well as their bottom lane.
Yeah, and I want to see what they go with jungle right now, because Shoulder Ace is a really good Lee Sin player in my opinion, and if he's able to pick that one up, there's some immobile carries right now. I mean, he's not going to really do great in the 1v1 jungle matchup. Elise is fine into Lee Sin, but for everything else, Shorter Ace actually might be able to get some things happening around the map. I love immobile 80 carries when I'm playing Lee Sin.
Well, Elise, Rek'Sai, Rengar, and Kha'Zix have been taken away. One final ban for the Direwolves. They could possibly throw it towards Shorter Ace as well. Maokai was the ban of choice for Tainted Minds. It seems like they're targeting the top lane for Direwolves.
Yeah, I reckon they'll get rid of the Poppy also, is probably my guess in regards to that. Get rid of some of the big tanks and see if they can get Praetor onto either a Nautilus if something suboptimal comes out for Chippies, or just leave him with the Jace at this stage.
I like the Olaf ban here. Olaf does do very well against immobile champions, especially with lots of crowd control coming out from the Direwolves. It does leave Lee Sin open though. Kennen is the final ban targeted towards Chippies. He's already had one game on this champion in the OPL.
Yeah, I mean, he went insane on the Kennen, so it doesn't really surprise me that they're willing to ban it away. It does leave a couple of tanks open, so they can take the tank off right now if King does choose to get lock that one in for his top laner. And this is the interesting thing about Red Side, is you get to see two picks, and if you pick something flexible, although that isn't flexible at all, really does allow you to counter-pick one of the solo lanes.
Corki is going to get locked in the mid lane for Fantix, a champion that has been rising in popularity in the mid lane. We expected to see a lot of Syndra, a lot of Rise, but those two champions either banned out or not very commonly picked actually in the OPL.
Yeah, I mean, when you go Corki and you get Hex Drinker, you actually survive the damage nicely. You can bulk forward, get the exhaust down as well. So Corki does fine in the matchup. Has a long range harass to go with it as well. I mean, Corki's just a jack of all trades at the moment, and the problem with Corki is he's just so safe that when he's strong enough to be played, he's kind of insufferable as a lane opponent. He pushes incredibly well, has good trading potential, and is pretty hard to gank in the short lane. So that is, of course, where his popularity comes from, and I don't think it's any secret that his playstyle I find very frustrating.
Well, Prophet Spawn, you've predicted another pick here as Lee Sin does get locked in for Shorter Ace. Now I could go with the Nautilus as well.
Yeah. So really well-balanced composition. Once again, I just like Nautilus because all of the AD carries he's going to be able to get super tanky in this composition. Doesn't have to go towards any damage items. And he just has a lovely target at the back line. I mean, click on King, hit your line, and hopefully it goes through as many members as possible before you knock him up. And Lee Sin can fly in there and you have a dive partner to go with it.
However, Chippies looks like he wants to respond to the tank in the top lane by picking up Fiora, a champion that's commonly banned out against him.
And now I want to see if Choo Choo's actually stays with the teleport, because one thing that teams love to do is get a split pushing mid laner and give it over to the side lane as the game progresses against Fiora, because, you know, Jace is going to be able to clear out the tower absolutely fine. If he ever is in dive range, he's going to be able to respond in kind. So Chippies might not have as free roam around the map as he would have liked, to just, you know, being stuck in that side lane against a tank who we can repetitively abuse.
As for now, he's sticking to the teleport, summon a spell. Vantix on the flip side has his exhaust still on Corki. Other than that, nothing too surprising from the two teams.
It gives them the advantage in the 2v2. You would say, you know, with the exhaust, the Elise as well as the Corki should take that one quite handily. But it is just a better move for later in the game. And you know that they want to run 1-3-1. You know they're going to be using the package, that they're going to be using that split pushing Fiora. And I think that this is smart out of Tainted Minds. I mean, I've spoken up how much I think that, you know, an Arrow in the past, who now unfortunately not with York, but, you know, people like Shorter Ace and Rosie, they're really intelligent players. And I think that they got a pretty good draft here. I mean, I think Direwolves got comfort as well, but that teleport will be a curveball.
Very interesting drafts coming out from the two teams here, both with very different strategies. I'm really excited to see how Mistfortune's going to do as an AD character, because we haven't seen it too much
Just
recently.
as I talk it up as well, he has Cleanse. So that's a spoiler alert before we get on to Summoner's Rift. So, you know, it is going to be tank against Fiora in the side lane, and that's a hard one to really make work.
We've seen Fiora being able to dominate those side lanes quite a lot. Even a backdoor play coming out from one of the teams in the North American LCS. Thanks to that Fiora, and we have to see if we're going to see a similar performance coming into this game. Very good against tanks, especially in lane. Split pushes very effectively. It's really the team fights where Nautilus should shine.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Nautilus still has some good harass potential early on in the game. I mean, he shoves quite hard as well because you max the E. But it is, you know, that 2-3 item mark where Fiora gets insufferable.
So we can potentially see the Nautilus pick up 2 Doran's rings later on in the game to go with that crafting potion. Similar to what 528 did on his champion. Make sure his E is powerful enough to clear the wave and has enough mana to consistently do that. As we are on to Summoner's Rift for the first match between Direwolves as well as Tainted Minds. Interestingly enough, King has gone for W, level 1 on his Misfortune.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It means that you push the lane really quickly. So because you just pop W, I mean, you're able to get the passive repetitively applied by auto-attacking the backline creeps. It's good trading as well.
And it's kind of like Draven's in a sense where every time you are able to refresh your passive, it reduces the cooldown of that W. So if you use it on a wave, pretty much guarantee that your W will be permanently left up. You can already see Zyra trying to get as many plants left down here as possible. Destiny stacking his passive to kick the lane off.
But generally, you want to be a little bit further up the lane. That's a better seed, and you can see that Rosie definitely recognized that, steps on it, burns his passive. But this is how you get lane control as Zyra, and this is generally why your jungler starts on the opposite side of the map. So, you know, they're not up to 50% or further with those plants and can start shoving in hard. That man on your screen is really what the talk of the town is about at the moment, though. Schernfire, of course. The first time I ever saw him play was in 2014. Was scrimming with the Direwolves a lot back then, was a huge carry jungler and things like Vi. Has, you know, been very vocal that he can change his style up, and that Korea and his time in the North American Challenger Series taught him about that. And, you know, should be vying for one of the top junglers in the region, to be honest.
Well, Direwolves are happy to flex him and Sybil in their games. Sybil's been performing very well for the Direwolves recently. So we have to see if Schönfire is going to provide the same impact that we saw Sybil have in the last few games.
I mean, I don't think it's any secret that I'm a huge fan of Sybil. I talk about his selfless playstyle a lot, and the fact that, you know, he's got 2 of the more, I guess, inflexible, in my opinion. I mean, top duo lanes, solo lanes, sorry, in the fact that, you know, Fantix likes to play a very farm-heavy style, as does Chippies. And they're both very good at it. And Sybil caters to that pretty much perfectly as far as the team goes. And I think that's where a lot of the success of Direwolves has come from in the past.
Trade up in the top lane, Praedyth against Chippy. Chippy's make sure he just goes in to proc the vitals and gets out before the crowd control of Nautilus can take effect. Praedyth has his shield back up, so can trade very effectively against Fiora if she does not use the riposte effectively. Meanwhile, on the mid lane, though, Schönfire looking for his first gank of the OPL here. Gets some good damage down onto Choo Choo's, but just forces him to pop a potion, head towards his turret.
I mean, blowing the cobwebs out right there, misses the cocoon pretty much point blank around the corner. Choo Choo's had no idea he was there. However, did have the cleanse available, so probably wouldn't mean his death, but the miss means no summoner spell burnt. Good proactive play at the start of the game, I think it's fair to say, out of Schönfire. We want to see more of that heavy ganking style.
Fantix's doing a very good job in this mid lane though. Still has a single tink of his corrupting potion left. Choo-Choo's used all of his refillable pots. And has been pressuring Choo-Choo's quite nicely, especially with the extra damage Shernfire got in the top, in that mid lane. Actually, Flash being burnt in the top lane here by Praether. He's going to try and run away from Chippy. Chippy cancels it! Oh no!
Yeah, that was first blood actually waiting to happen. It still might be as now Shernfire looking to get in.
This time gets the Cocoon, throws down the Q. Easy first blood for Shernfire and will repel that final turret shot.
Yeah, and meanwhile on the other side of the map, I mean, Shorter Race has been booted out there. Looks like King is still on the hunt.
Exhausted flashes into a wall. No, Shorter Race. No, the Direwolves get 2 early kills just 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah, so he tried to flash the fat part just because he doesn't have a ward hop available because he had no thing on his trinket. So a little bit unfortunate there for Shorter Race. Oh, you just hate to see it.
And then you saw as well something you were talking about with the Corki picking over, Valkyrie in to get the exhaust down. Something that we see a lot of Corki players don't do very frequently, which is use that exhaust actively, or proactively I should say, to pick up kills. So good job from Fantix there to help his team out.
I mean, all of a sudden Choo-Choo's is in deep trouble as well. This has been a great early game from Direwolves. It's what we expect to see out of the team. They're probably the best laning team in the OPL. I mean, the criticism that has been leveled at them in the past is definitely more about their macro play than their early game. They're pretty comfortable, I think it's fair to say, playing standard and being able to take over in this regard. And you can see that right now Fantix is building a CES lead and probably going to get another pretty big wave up.
Yeah, forces Choo-Choo to go back here. Shorter Race is going to come in and try and hold this one. Cake also taking a lot of damage from the double up there in the bottom lane. Double buff. Misfortune here. Oh, that is not a pretty sight.
I mean, exactly
oh my goodness, Destiny, you're a monster! Just snipes him. Woo!
I mean, that's actually just disrespectful out of Cake. He saw it coming towards him. He has double summoner spells. Unless he's window shopping and Rosie's just not talking to him at all. I mean, that is an avoidable death right there. There's no other way to say it. That's just a bad play out of the Tainted Minds AD carry.
And suddenly Direwolves, 5 minutes into the game, they're 2,000 gold up. Not looking good for them at the moment.
Certainly is not. I mean, every single lane is just behind 13 CS in the bottom lane. Sure, that was a double buff given over, but definitely an avoidable kill. Top lane, I mean, Praether is close, however, still fell down for first blood as Shernfire was able to dive in underneath the turret and snipe him away. And we already talked about the woes that's been happening in mid lane as a big CS wave is about to be picked up by Fantix. So I'd have to say Direwolves looking very comfortable right now.
They certainly are. Choo-Choo's actually looking to see if he can make his way towards the top side of the map, spotted out by a ward. Don't spot him returning though. He will shortly show up into this lane against Fantix. Gets a good shock blast off. A little bit of poke there, but doesn't deal too much yet. Just a serrated dirk to the Jace's name. Gonna start dealing a lot more damage once he hits level 9. Maxes out the ability a little bit more. Still taking some harass in this mid lane. Fantix's always been a great mid laner to watch. Choo-Choo's is one of the more stable mid laners that you get to watch from time to time.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Choo-Choo's, it's funny, was known for very flashy play, but ever since the, I guess, control mages has come back in, he has turned much more into a solid player, I agree. We'll see whether, you know, picking up the Jace does change that at all, as he, in the past, has loved his AD champions.
Well, we are moving back towards the top side of the map. Chippy's here against Praether. Praether has gone for the ring start with that corrupting potion, so has been able to maintain CS with Chippy's here. That will slowly creep towards Chippy's favor. But Praether's doing a very good job of making sure he holds up on his own, clears out these waves, and doesn't stay within kill range of this Fiora. So Rosie actually getting locked down in the bottom lane. Thunderlords is going to pop. Good trade coming back from Cake, but still in the Direwolves' favor.
Yeah, it's slightly in the Direwolves' favor. I mean, they were proactively stepping up as well, so you like to see the fact that the Direwolves duo certainly happy to go toe-to-toe. That's a lot of damage. I mean, the lethality build with the Q-Max hurts. Jin can definitely trade back, however, it's not from same range, and now with the ultimate available, King can definitely force him away from that turret.
Double up already does extra damage on the second proc. And on top of that, deals even more as Cake gonna get interrupted. Sorry, King's ultimate getting interrupted, but still forces a flash from Cake. Direwolves are looking for that kill.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just not trusting in Rosie a little bit. Did flash away from the snare as well, probably would have spelt his demise, so this time just burning the summoner spell. This is becoming a pretty unsufferable lane at the moment for the Tainted Minds crew. They're down 20 CS, and it doesn't look like Destiny and King are going to let up anytime soon.
They keep threading. There's so much range on this bottom lane, from the Zyra to the double up to the Misfortune. Already saw how much damage it could do. Extra damage on the second proc, 50% more if it kills the first target.
Ooh, and a teleport has just been burnt to get back into the top lane for Praetor. So whether he wants to keep going.
Looks like he wants to just try and farm up this wave, force it back towards the turret of Chippies. He's holding well on his own right now, Praetor. Has his Ninja Tabby picked up. Very important item for him to go against the Fiora. Have to see if Chippies is forced to use his teleport in response, or if he can simply walk back to lane.
I mean, I think Chippies will be happy if he wants to use teleport to get back as well. It doesn't seem like a big deal if you are the Fiora player. You can see that he does pop it up there into the top lane as everything kind of a little bit quieter after an explosive start, and it's just led to a 2,500 gold lead for the Direwolves, which at 10 minutes, definitely nothing to scoff at. However, has slowed the tempo slightly since such a, I guess, kind of scrappy start with both teams really looking to fight.
You saw Fantix pick up his first package of the game, but wasn't used to do anything. Shonefire is still positioning on the bottom side of the map, does spot out short race on his Lee Sin. Haven't seen too much impact from him just yet. Couple of ganks in the mid lane and a kill top. They've just been controlling the jungle so far.
And that's what you like to see out of Elise players. I mean, Elise can walk into the jungle quite successfully against Lee Sin, get down the deep vision. You see that he's been able to proc the vision plants multiple times, and he really is playing more of a control style than a carry style right now. Has still gone for Red Smite as opposed to, you know, the wards. So is willing to fight shorter race if he has to, but is definitely playing within himself at the beginning of this game.
As we are going to see them take down the Cloud Dragon to kick things off, but in the bottom lane, King's been locked down and Curtain comes through. Destiny going to try and tank this up. Bullet time comes out and Rosie's the first to fall, but they do trade 1-for-1. Cake's going to pick up Destiny with his Curtain Call.
Yeah, exactly right. So they are able to trade back, and when you're a 30 CS deficit, I mean, trading anything is good. All of a sudden, however, Shernfire down here, no flash available.
And Cake's just going to get executed by Shernfire. Simple gank coming out from the Direwolves jungler.
And I mean, that's all the control that they have over that bottom side of the map. We've talked about it time and time again, but they were able to grab themselves a dragon with it. They're able to walk in and just pick up pretty much a free kill. So really nice execution out of Direwolves right now. You can see the bottom lane vision has 100% been a focus. And it will reward them with the first turret.
Yep, seems like King will be able to pick this one up. Shernfire is going to run away from the gold range, and King extends his lead. Not only picking up a kill, but as well as the first turret gold all to himself.
And that's pretty selfless. I mean, that puts King up nearly 2,000 gold solo.
Whew. When
it's a 4,000 gold lead, having half of it as the AD carry is certainly nice, as you see it on your screen.
He's already picked up a shop here. Yomo's Ghostblade and Serrated Dirk straight up for the Misfortune. Cake hasn't even finished his own Yomu's Ghostblade. So that's a full item up ahead of him right now. Even picks up the Boots of Swiftness on Misfortune, which is an interesting pickup. You don't get too much attack speed as Misfortune. These do normally help out in that regard.
I mean, maybe just looking to reposition away from Rosie, who will be probably looking to flash in on him at every chance possible.
Helps out against the Curtain Call as well as the Shock Blast too. He is waiting in the brush here. Cake going to take quite a bit of damage. Good trades coming out from King. Going to use the Yomus to dodge out the captive audience as well. Good play from the Misfortune.
Yeah, definitely very nicely done from King there. Actually comes out quite far into the lead. Goes and gets himself some fruit as well, so we'll be back full health. That just means that they have to back away at this stage if they're the bottom lane and risk being frozen. Not a great feeling if you are Tainted Minds. However, Direwolves definitely doing a good job of strangling it out. And maybe this is where, you know, some of the criticism comes back, because generally, if you win laning phase this hard, you probably would look to move your duo lane into the top side of the map. Instead, Direwolves definitely happy to just stay here.
They're jumping on top of King, though. He's going to take a lot of damage. Kick back into the Curtain Call, and Rosie picks up that kill nice and easy. Destiny, living with a sliver of health, almost gets one in return, but simple gank from shorter race.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, this time they actually back away as to see if a counter gank is coming in. Of course, Shernfire was in the area. However, can't do all that much as just one lonely Spider Lady. So we'll instead look to maybe take his skills towards mid lane. And that's the first time TM have really hit back. That was the first, I guess, proactive kick that we saw out of shorter race. He's level 8 on the map, was able to pick up a nice kill for his 80 carry, I believe, at that stage. Maybe actually it was a support, so Rosie grabbed that one. Maybe not the ideal target. However, it does close some of that gold.
Yep, 20 CS given back towards Cake. That big turret boost that King had. It's not going to be easy to even out. See Chuchu's now Shock Blast combo. Puts Fantix down to half health every time he lands it.
And it was actually Carbon that said that they misread this in the meta. They didn't think Jace was going to be so high priority. You can see Tainted Mind's definitely comfortable in that regard right now as Chuchu's is picking it up. Does miss the sitter as Fish throws his head back. However, we'll be able to continue to, you know, pick up some CS for himself and see if he can claw back in that margin.
Shenfire actually looking for a gank on towards Choo-Choo's. Bullet time comes out from King. The cleanse will come out as well. Able to avoid the gank that Shenfire threw down there.
I mean, that's double summoner spell still, however, and that means that mid lane turret all of a sudden is just wide open. No one is in the realm of being able to defend that one. They also have the package as they stream towards bottom lane. Tainted Minds need to be careful right now because that is 3 members strong and Shorter Ace has missed the memo.
Here they come. Rosie does have suppression available or coming up at least. Going to get jumped on here. Teleports going in towards the bottom lane. Destiny's the first target though, taking so much damage. Nautilus gets on top of the Zyro, but Chippies is here as well. Picks up the first kill. Exhaust onto the Nautilus. Praedith is trying to run away, but Chippy slides on forward into his DMs. Will not get locked down by the captive audience. The big one is not going to be enough to take him down. Just a 1-for-1 trade. Shorter Ace was looking to see if he can jump on towards King, but decides not to.
And I mean, that's the best you can hope for if you're Tainted Minds. It was Direwolves making the proactive play. They got down there with the package, but really not able to pick up all that much. The 1-for-1 trade, and actually with Choo-Choo's down here, a little bit of priority given over to the Tainted Minds as they look to push in.
Cake taking so much damage from Fantix there, not afraid to go toe-to-toe against him, even with the Jace waiting nearby.
No, Corgi, what can I say? He does it all. He has good burst damage, good poke damage.
How'd you like the champion?
Let's take another look at it. I mean, he uses the package in here to split up the fight nicely. You know, that was I guess, a little bit of a misread as he went on to Rosie. And Praedith got into the backline nicely. So he's able to get the kill there, the execute. And honestly, was lucky to not fall down to Chippy, who unfortunately, you know, a little bit low on mana. And nearly the turnaround, to be honest. King overextended a little bit. Shorter Ace wanted back in. Choo-Choo's wasn't really in range, but as I said, if you're 3,000 gold down at only 15 minutes into this one and you gave away such a big advantage early game, I mean, you take the small victories, and that looked like just marginally Tainted Minds got out ahead.
Didn't see how much time there was left on that package, but would have liked to see Fantix hold on to that a bit longer because they did have the wraparound already and didn't do much damage to Rosie.
I mean, I think what he was hoping is to get something like a rocket to just break the spell shield and then be able to knock Rosie onto the other side of it. Obviously, that was not to be, as Shorter Ace wants to steal, does not get it.
Goes in, he's going to get locked down and take it down. Interesting choice, because that's just a Cloud Dragon that they've given up.
You know, I have a different word. I'm going to go with a little bit silly, that choice there. Probably didn't need to dive into the pit for the dragon.
So there is a good thing about this Cloud Dragon is they have Misfortune on the team. You can already see running around at about 500 movement speed thanks to Strut and the Cloud Dragon. With Yomu's on top of that, as well as all the Serenity Dirt passives coming through from the Lethality build, runs fairly fast one.
I agree, but I mean, I haven't won many games off movement speed alone. So, you know, whilst I agree with you, going to be able to, you know, get down some rotations a little bit easier, still isn't definitely, you know, the be-all and end-all of the game.
Surprise attack from Praedith. Chippy does not care. Fight me.
He kind of does care. I mean, that's a quarter of his health that went down, and Praedith is not being bullied around all that much at the moment, to be honest. Still a tanky man. And you can see he just clears out waves. This is what you like to see out of your Nautilus. I mean, he maxes E first, then he goes into his W. He's just a big brick. Even if you push into him, he holds waves off the turret, which is why I like him more than Maokai into this matchup. And it's very hard to get anything going. Meanwhile, the siege begins in this lane.
They start the show here with the curtain call, but hits absolutely no one. Rosie going to get chunked down by Shenfire here. King comes back in. Bullet time goes through. Everyone from Tainted Minds scatter. And a big shock blast will come back to deter Destiny and Shenfire come chasing on through, and they save their turret.
And you just see how much damage the Misfortune ultimate does. And every single time, unless Rosie can interrupt it, they just have to get the heck out of dodge. Ooh, a little bit of a trap here.
Shorter Ace has been caught out. Thunderlords comes out. King trying to chase on through, deterred by the little chickens. We're attacking in there. Shenfire wants to collapse, but Shorter Ace will get out safely.
Yep, so in the end, it was actually Shorter Ace who was trapped. Really nice read out of Direwolves, good vision control. You can actually see that Shurnfire is put pretty high priority as Shorter Ace actually flashes
Scared of the Zyra.
away from Destiny. I mean, giving the respect it's due. I like it.
I've seen Destiny play Zyra quite a bit in solo queue recently. He's very good with those max range snares and max range Qs. Definitely understands the champion very well. Top side of the map, Praedyth is still just sticking to Chippies, making sure he stays nice and even here. Has not fallen to him. Even picks up a Sheen, looking for an Iceborne Gauntlet as his next item.
Yeah, it means you can trade back a little bit better. I just want to go back to, you know, looking at the vision control right now. You can see that the Direwolves definitely want to play around mid lane because they've got those control wards out there, especially focusing on the top side of the map, although there was one just cleared out. And there's also a ward behind both, I guess, flanking areas. One just expired to the left of the lane, and there's also one on the top side of red buff. So for Tainted Minds. So really right now, Tainted Minds have got the vision set up that they can just continue to play what is a pretty heavy mid lane focus. Right now, however, King maybe had overextended. They would look to collapse on him. And you see that those wards just afford you the luxury of being able to back away.
Fennecore getting popped here. Fantic's actually taking quite a bit of damage from Choo Choo's. And will not connect with him. As Destiny and Shurnfire split the damage from those bullets. They're able to get back to safety, but Tainted Minds will again look to try and siege mid lane while Fantic's recalls. No Pakus for him to skip straight back to the mid lane. But Shurnfire looks like he wants to go for a fight. He's right behind him.
Yeah, he certainly is. I mean, that's very deep for a full AP.
Oh my goodness, the bullet time is massive there coming out from King. Shorter Ace will trade 1-for-1, but he's very low here. Has to get the heck out of dodge.
I mean, and one
Rocky.
more time, he's just not back far enough. I mean, where is he supposed to go? He doesn't have a ward.
Run!
Where? There's Shurnfire right there. Corky's got the package. I mean, you either hope he misses you, or you die, Fish. That's as soon as you stop, you're just dead.
Don't stop. Direwolf's going to use that time to try and siege up the mid lane. That's going to fall. Mantix picks that one up. Big combo from Destiny and King. Bullet time into the grasping roots thingy from Zyra. Can't do words.
Certainly one. Able to grab a nice E there onto multiple members. And, you know, with that, the complete collapse of Tainted Minds, honestly. They're now down 7,000 gold. We've seen extended laning phase in the top lane. A little bit more grouping out of the mid lane at this stage of the game. But all of it's just been Direwolves. I mean, the bottom lane skirmish, slightly in TM's favor. But there's a reason that they're 6,500 gold up at this stage and haven't really looked all that pressured from the poke of TM.
Yeah, very big items coming out from the Direwolves as well. Chippies has the Ravenous Hydra in the top lane. You can already see Shurnfire's got two major penetration items with his jungling item picked up as well. Rapid Fire Cannon, nice and early from Fantix. I know you like this build out of Corky's.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it just gives you so much poke damage to be able to execute on. You can see it's about a 1,400 gold right now lead for Shurnfire right now. There's a little bit of a fight going to break out.
Fantix is going to get locked down by Praedyth, and you're going to see Cake destroyed in the back line. So they trade 1-for-1, but that's a lot of ultimates used by Tainted Minds to take down the mid laner from the Direwolves. Choo Choo's running straight towards Shurnfire. He uses the repel, gets knocked back. Here goes Shorter Ace, gets the kick kill. It's now a 3-on-4 if Direwolves want to try and start this one, but they still have Chippy split pushing.
Yeah, he certainly does. Chippies is still in the top lane, so they have to send Praedyth back. Ulti's still available for MF.
Oh, Shorter Ace taking so much damage. Narrowly avoids it. Now it's going to be Choo Choo's who jumps back in. He kills your boy King and flashes away from it.
Yeah, it certainly does. And now all of a sudden, Destiny in trouble as well.
Chippies is down here looking to try and chase down the low health members. Gets 2, gets 3. Triple kill coming out for Chippies.
And all that was that Chippies had the teleport and Praedyth had the respect the split pushing that was going to happen. I mean, the Direwolves turned that around one more time. You think that Tainted Minds finally get the pick they're looking for, but over aggression. I mean, that is Choo Choo's flashing underneath turret to try and pick up a single kill, and they make them pay. They actually grow the gold lead off that pick.
They certainly have. Direwolves looking very strong here. And Tainted Minds, they got 2 nice and early picks, but execution just not on point there. King really good to open up, very confident with his bullet time there, trying to clear the wave and damage anyone who threatens to dive on him.
And I mean, ultimately, he saved the turret because as you can see here, they funnel in against Destiny, able to get the exhaust out. Gets massive damage. Thought he was going to fall down to the little void monsters, but they swapped over to Chippies, who, you know, just ran through and torched the rest of the team. He's now 4-0-1.
Yeah, he's got his Black Cleaver and a BF sword to boot now, looking for that nice and early Bloodthirster. And surprisingly, no No Black Cleaver coming out for King here. Opting to go for pure lethality. Still a great build coming out from Misfortune.
I mean, it's still early days. You expect him to go towards potentially a Black Cleaver if he feels he has the luxury for it. Potentially, you know, something like a Last Whisper item as well. I like the Cleaver purely for the CDR. I mean, the other stats you can get elsewhere. As you can see, the flat lethality right now is certainly very high. And unfortunately, with losing that team fight right now, Tainted Minds kind of no longer can hold chippies underneath that turret, although Fantix...
Lockdown again. It seems like he's going to be caught one more time here by Tainted Minds. Choo-Choo, so caught in the rain of bullets and bullet time. But they lock down Schönfire. He's the next one to fall. King's flashing forward to pick up Choo-Choo's. Almost dies in the process. And now Shorter Race is on the hunt with Cake. He does have the Edge of Night to get him back to safety. Chippies will be able to take down a turret for the 2 picks.
I mean, he also killed the top laner.
Praetor's dead.
Yeah, Praetor no longer in this world, just got turret over, and that's what I said. Unfortunately, what really, I guess, is bad for Tainted Minds right now is the fact that they just gave 3 kills over to Chippies, and now there's no one that can go with him in the split pushing battle. He's just going to have complete reign over the map, and even though they look like they're going okay, as Destiny picks up another kill, as far as the map control goes, they're falling down very hard in the split pushing battle.
Casually, Destiny just decides he wants to take out Cake.
Just has everything left available. Ooh. Gets the dangerous game to also keeping him alive.
Gets the heal out of Cake as well to add insult to injury.
I mean, Cake just needs to flash one of the grasping roots if he really wants to live. That would be the first step towards not getting blown up by the support.
Decides he didn't need it there. He actually did. And now Direwolf's grouping up towards the Baron. Ping's actually going out from Tainted Minds. Lee Sin's on the bottom side of the map. This could be a rush from the Direwolves.
Yeah, and it's going to be. I mean, they have so much damage at this stage of the game. 4 damage threats on the Baron. Schönfire going to be able to pick this one up easily for his squad, and nothing Tainted Minds can do about it because, as you said, Lee Sin was on the bottom side of the map. That's a great read.
Simple, easy, smart play from the Direwolves. Tainted Minds, no way for them to react to this. They'll get a consolation prize of mid lane. They can rush it down fast enough. That's going to be easy for Juices to destroy.
All right, and we've seen Direwolves in this position before. They have a Baron buff. They have a superior split push.
Hello.
They have absolutely everything in their favor, and King's just face check the brush for no reason.
Buddy, you can see Cake laughing on his screen. That's a good way to stall out a Baron.
It certainly is. I mean, now they don't have an AD carry. They're going to send Chippies down bottom lane, but when you've lost position on the map, you can't really overextend for that farm in case there's multiple members there. And that's what I was going to go back to. I mean, really, Direwolves at this stage need to figure out how they're going to cleanly close out these games, because 26 minutes in, they've looked so dominant, and yet they've just given away silly little advantages that you shouldn't have to.
I take back everything I said about Triple Cloud helping out Misfortune there. Just makes it easier for King to run straight into his doom.
Too quick.
Too quick. Too fast, too furious.
Because now they're actually looking to catch out Chippies potentially.
Whereas he's waiting in the wings. They've got 3 members down here. He does have Schönfire and Destiny close behind him.
They're also bringing 3 members down from Direwolves, as you just pointed out. So it's a risky play to make, nonetheless. And Chippies does the right thing, honestly. Now they're going to get priority back in the mid lane. I mean, if you're TM, you can't afford to brush camp forever. That's kind of the weakness of the brush camp strat, as lanes are just going to get shoved in. And at a stage in this game, even though King doesn't have his Baron buff, it's not going to matter because they've still got 3 members in that group.
Uh-oh, they might have done it again. They locked down Schönfire. He's going to get taken down straight away. Praetor taking so much damage to return. Destiny goes on a killing spree with that one. They trade 2 for 1, but now Cake's in trouble. Chippies just slides in right behind them. And they're going to take down 3 members of Tainted Minds.
I mean, that's what happens when you don't grab the Misfortune. Unfortunately, she just torches your whole team, and that's a much better read coming out of the Direwolves. They understand it's a brush gank. They take more than 1 member there, and they're able to finally get the kills.
Here comes Shorter Race though with Choo-Choo's looking to try and get more. Fantix taking a lot of damage. He is forced to flash away as a shock blast is almost enough to take down the Corki. Chippies will try and see if he can pick up a consolation prize here, which will be the turret.
Yeah, it certainly will be. I mean, it's a pretty good consolation prize. It's going to force them about 13,500 gold into the lead. And the whole map right now is in Direwolves' palms. You can see that a couple of sneaky camps are coming out from Tainted Minds. This is what happens when you play tankless one more time. I mean, it's just so easy to blow up 1 member. But at the same time, you know, they've got everything they want. They've got all the big items picked up. The map is opened up. It's only 28 minutes into the game. And just want to go back to the fact that they got Chippies onto the superior split pusher. and he's been able to take over.
He's 6-0-1 right now, Chippies. Doing a great job here. Now, Fantix has really stepped up to the plate in this match as well. It's really good to watch him perform well in the mid lane. He's always a very solid player, also a flashy one at times. But Tainted Mind's still trying to hold on here. 28 minutes already. Baron buff's going to expire soon. Direwolves were able to get turrets from it, but no inhibitors taken down yet. Tainted Mind still hold on to all of those. They've already lost their top lane inhibitor turret, though.
I mean, at the same time, Direwolves are kind of doing everything they need to do right now. They've got triple Drake. Another one is about to come up in 15 seconds. That sets them up if they ever do get past 35 minutes to be able to take a very big Elder. Baron's going to respawn soon, and they, once again, can just position Chippies in that bottom lane. You can see that next objective is the Dragon. Stop! So they're putting Chippies top. As soon as it's Baron, they'll be rotating in back bottom.
Tainted Minds have a thing for these bushes, though, Spawn. Just always waiting for control on top of them. I think they've proven the fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you already. Don't think Direwolf's going to fall for it a third time. So they take down the 4th dragon of the game. Mountain Dragon picked up.
Same time, you kind of just have to throw one member to the Wolves if you are Direwolf. You just, you know...
No! They're going to find them again from the brushes. They strike as Tainted Minds just destroy the Direwolves. King is the last man standing. Will be able to sidestep everything with his massive movement speed. But Chippies might be able to take an inhibitor for this one.
Yeah, it certainly should be able to. And really, what is Tainted Minds getting out of these brush camps?
Oh, no.
They're just losing more priority around the map. Chippies looks like he's probably going to go for an execute into the fountain.
Oh, sidesteps it. Actually now trying to run away.
Yeah,
He's going to do
to
He's going around the map, flashes away. There's a turret here, but there's minions to help him out. He's just going to slide right away from this one. Now, King, you better run, but that's a lot of damage.
Oh, nearly gets stunned up. I mean, he's still sprinting around the map. You see how quick he is. And honestly...
Oh no, flank. Here comes the Nautilus. Direwolves might be in trouble. Kratos right behind him. Chippies, don't go that way, buddy. From the brushes, again, Tainted Minds are going to strike as they lock down the Fiora. King watches helplessly as Chippies get shut down. Oh my goodness.
Kratos is laughing his head off. I mean, right now you can see this is frustrating the Direwolves because honestly, brush camp after brush camp is just coming up King. And honestly... it's not much. Just stop going into the brushes. I mean, just push down the lanes. Even if they come from behind you, as long as you have King positioned at the back of your squad, you out-damage them so severely at this stage of the game. But they've fallen for the bait a couple of times.
Oh my goodness, here it is again. Third time.
This is as a full squad. They actually know they're in there.
Ooh. And
that's just a huge knock-up. And really nice exhaust. And as you can see, King just can't get positioned to be able to set up for the ulti.
Almost died as well. Curtain Call didn't quite clip him to slow him down. I have a feeling Tainted Mind's going to do this one again, though.
I mean, they can't really because Baron's back available, so they're not going to wait near a brush because otherwise Direwolves just take Baron. At a stage of the game, they have to figure out how to win a fair 5v5 fight.
Well, they did get top lane inhibitor going for the Direwolves here, so that will slowly push back. Kratos is forced to deal with that one. No teleport available for the Nautilus. That gives Chippies free time to go bottom lane. He has teleport.
And you can see that this time they've decided that a pit is more effective. See whether they can actually.
Here they go! They're going from the wolf camp! Oh, from the darkness, Tainted Minds will strike because Churnfire has to repel to get back to safety, but the NCUNC Spiders forced to flash. What is this?
Yeah, so they're able to pick up another pick. It means it will delay the Baron. However, maybe Chippies can get something done on the bottom lane. Probably going to send Choo-Choos down there to try and deal with him because we've seen that the Nautilus has been relatively ineffective.
Yep.
And Tainted Minds are starting to get items. This game actually gets pretty scary for the Direwolves because honestly, when you have two big tanks in the Lee Sin as well as the Nautilus, if it ever gets to 5v5 territory, you're going to be positioned for pretty good success. At the same time, I mean, the Zyra is still a huge threat. Malzahar getting towards that stage as well. And this is one of those games that you just hate to be an AD carry. I know we have lots of them on the map, pretty much 4 if you count Corki and Jace, but you're in kill range from 100% health this game.
Even from the supports. I mean, Zyra was one of the first supports to ever pick up Liandry's as well as the Rylai's. And this is back before support items were a big thing. Now we're seeing both of them pick it up here. Direwolves trying to rush a Baron. This is going to be easy for them. Tainted Minds nowhere close to respond to this. That's going to be given up.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. As I said, they have the advantage when they're able to come out of the brushes, but unfortunately, none around that Baron pit.
They should have just picked Ivan.
Maybe they'll look for a collapse onto bottom lane and see if they can pick up chippies instead. I feel like this should actually still be a relatively easy clean out. I mean, 33 minutes in.
Or are they? Oh, they were waiting. 33 minutes in. Yes, Direwolves are really far ahead. 11,000 gold up, Spawn.
This should still just be, you know, marching Baron down 2 lanes and being able to pick it up. Although now Chippies definitely is overextended, and there are members here.
3 members of the Tainted Mind squad looking to try and collapse on him. 4, including Choo Choo's, as he jumps straight on top of the carry. Now Tainted Mind's looking for a fight of their own. Shorter race trying to collapse. Here comes the curtain call. Cake wants to slow them down. Schönfire taking quite a bit of damage from these bullets. Here comes the repel, trying to get back to safety. Bullet time comes out, they're tearing them away, but Choo Choo snipes them off. Hook barely misses from Prey. The King has the blue suede shoes to avoid all the shots come out for Tainted Minds. But again, 2 big picks for TM.
This is supposed to be the easy part of the game for Direwolves. I mean, when you have a look at it, they've got an inhib down. There's creeps inside the base. They need to play with a little bit more of patience. Chippies overextends. There's no mid lane punish yet available, so they pick him up. They pick up Schönfire in the mid lane. 2, 5, and 3. This is not the debut the Direwolf jungler was hoping for. His team is so drastically far ahead that another frustrating closeout for the Direwolves.
And it's exactly what you were talking about on the OPL podcast. I mean, Direwolves win their lane nice and strong, but it just seems like once they have to group up, if they can't use their superior mechanics to bully you out in the lane to win the game, it's just really difficult for them to play a good macro play.
Also, don't get me wrong, this is like some well-cooked Gouda out of the Tainted Mind squad. I mean, this is some of the cheesiest stuff I've ever seen in a professional game.
I mean,
brush camp after brush camp. Fnatic would be like a single tier is being shed right now for a Fnatic roster of the past.
Well, Tainted Mind's trying to rush back because Elder Dragon is going to spawn. That would be
Baron
Elder.
Yeah. Well, what can you do, though?
That's
I mean, you still can't fight them in a fair 5v5, so they're going to seed another objective.
Oof, that's a difficult one to give up here, especially with Baron buff already live in the Direwolves.
At the same time, I mean, if they're just all damage threats and you one-shot them because you have an 8, 2, and 3 Jace, who's an absolute monster at this stage of the game. No real GAs being picked up. I mean, Schönfire's gone towards the Void stuff. I really disagree with the build coming out of the jungler. You've just seen him be picked off time and time again. You can have as much damage as you want if you're just going to instantly die in the team fight.
I mean, you have to think if Tainted Minds win another team fight here, their morale is going to soar through the roof. They're already laughing on camera. They know they've pulled off 3 or almost 4 cheesy plays. They're still stop. They're still
just
trying
waiting around the corner.
And if you're Direwolves, I mean, this game was done at 20.
This game was done earlier. This game was done at 14 minutes. I mean, they absolutely destroyed the bottom lane.
They should not be 36 minutes into this match, but they are. Their morale must be sinking slightly. They just want this one to be over.
Well, I don't think it's really a morale crusher because ultimately they're still in the driving seat and they know that.
Ooh.
I think it's more of the fact that they just will be getting a little bit frustrated as this game keeps going. I mean, at the same time, they're about to pick up 3 inhibitors in the top lane.
They're going to try and force a fight here because they know that inhibitor's going to go down. Schönfire is likely to target. He has to repel up. Praetor's jumped in. Bullet time's going to come out. Choo Choo's incredibly low. That shreds the Nautilus. Chippies is just left in the top lane alone. He's going to take down a free inhibitor. And it seems like all the inhibitors are going to fall here. Tainted Minds left to defend their base. Trying to lock down Chippies a little bit too quick for them.
And you saw how short work they made of Praetor just because of all the damage that comes out of their squad. Not able to get onto the Misfortune. Oh my goodness!
That's so much damage. They snipe one. Schönfire's taken down again, walking all over these traps. Tainted Minds get a little bit of confidence. They've lost almost all their base, but it's an even 4-on-4 now if they can get on top of Direwolves.
It certainly is, and I mean, still with the Outer Drake King.
Almost dead there, shorter race, getting jumped on by Chippies. He gets kicked back, so much damage onto this guy. Lots of lockdown towards Fantix. He's gonna fall. Choo Choo's lays down the pain. Misfortune will get it with the make it rain. He's still chasing. Destiny's gone. Double kill for Choo Choo's. And Tainted Minds, they're still holding on. Look at Rosie. He can't believe what's happening.
I don't think anyone can believe what's happening. They were able to clean up the whole base, and yet again, they look for the team fight as opposed to walking the creeps into the base fish. I mean, Tainted Minds hit back everything on the line right now. They're able to shove the creeps out for a little while longer. Direwolves, 78,000 gold, 38 minutes into this one. They've got 4 dragons. They've taken 2 Baron buffs. Somehow they're behind in kills, and they're just all still building full damage. They've got 1 GA and a Chain Vest. They're the only 2 defensive items in this whole kit. Whew.
if Choo just keep hitting these Shock Blast combos, especially now, he should have full items when he heads back to base.
He's a monster. I mean, I understand why Carbon said he is a bay of his now. I mean, Choo Choo's is popping off this game.
Big Bay. Chippy's now trying to push the mid lane down. Praetor's done a good job of pushing up the top lane. They don't have to worry about that crashing onto the Nexus for some time. But no inhibitor turrets are left for Tainted Minds. They have to take fight after fight here. Luckily enough for them, Elder Dragon should be down now and no Baron buff available. It's coming up in a minute 30. That should be where we see the next big fight if Direwolves don't just try and press something here. Lots of breathing room for Tainted Minds, and they're doing it again.
I mean, right now, all you... Oh, ultimate. Here you go, Fish.
Shenfire. He's going to have to be forced to repel away. Shorter race, looking to try and collapse. Shenfire forced to flash. Praetor trying to run. Going to take a lot of damage, but look at Chippy's. He will get locked down. Tries to turn it around. There's a big bullet time from King. Shorter race is going to fall next. One by one, Tainted Minds are going to have to run for the hills, and it's only Cake left standing, and Direwolves might just get their just desserts here.
Much better execution out of the Direwolves. They bring Chippies in earlier with the teleport. Looks like Fantix is going to be able to pick up the last kill. Clean ace, and they will take the game in about 40 minutes.
He gets his cake, he eats it as well. Direwolves will be able to pick up game one of this best of 3 series, but if you're the squad, not going to be super happy about how they close that one out. I mean, their face says it all right now, Spawn.
It really was still never in doubt. They were up so far from like 14 minutes into this game. However, you can tell that they wanted that one to be a clean victory. And you feel like, as I said, Tainted Minds just stuck to the game plan, which seemed to be get the team fights we're looking for, make sure that we're laying our CEC correctly, and we're going to be able to pick up kills, and that's what happened.
I mean, despite the loss, Tainted Minds definitely have to have good morale after that game, knowing that 10,000 gold behind, we're still fighting back.
Yes and no. I mean, they're still competitive players. Losing a game sucks.
Yes.
And they still lost it in, like, as I said, pretty convincing fashion. I mean, they picked up, I think, 2 turrets all game. If you're the Tainted Mind organization, they didn't get a Dragon. They didn't get a Baron. They really didn't have a sniff in the whole thing. So, yeah, sure, they got a couple of cute team fights. They made the game very entertaining, but I think that still sucks if you're Tainted Minds. It's just about, you know, where do they go from here? Because I think that their team comp was pretty smart, and if they stayed even, those team fights start hurting Direwolves a lot.
It certainly was, and it looked like they were going to be able to try and upset the Direwolves there, but they still fight back strong, clean out the game about 40 minutes into it. To break down that game a little bit more, let's throw it back to Hingers and the rest of the analysts.
Thank you very much, Fish and Spawn. Well, there we have it. Direwolves 1-0 over Tainted Minds in this series. But, Mendrix, but Carbon. Obviously a long game, and perhaps not only, I mean, Spawn was saying they might not be happy with the way they won, but you know, you got to think they're the architects of their own demise there, right? Building all these damage items, Carbon?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. They're pretty lucky that Chippy's picked up that Quadra at mid because he pretty much solo carried that game. His pressure in the side lane utterly destroyed Tainted Minds. There was nothing really that they could ever do to deal with him, so they did the only other thing they could do, which is try and engage on the 4, which they did brilliantly, I must say, a number of times. But you can't help but wonder how that game might have gone if Chippies didn't pick up a Quadra kill.
Mendrix, when you look at this team picking up all those damage items, does this continue that narrative of them perhaps playing in a disrespectful way, do you think?
Oh, absolutely, and the reason behind that is that they could have actually just had, for a little bit of extra damage reductions onto themselves, made it so those team fights would be a little bit more convincing, especially when Tainted Minds were doing those cheeky little bush hides on the side, sort of channeling Fnatic at that point in time. And the thing that I really want to touch on there is that it really illustrates what we expected from them. We expected them to have a strong early landing phase and then to have weak macro play. And throughout the entire time, that long, drawn-out battle was because of that weak macro play.
All right, well, let's take a look at the picks, bans, the draft phase of this game. He's bringing it up on your screen. Now, the big thing for Tainted Minds is obviously they're playing without a coach. Cake was there reading the Summoner's Code. So let me get your read on this draft, Carbon, because on the Direwolf side, we're seeing Misfortune AD, which Inero kind of predicted yesterday.
Yeah, very clever, I think. Very nice pickup from Direwolves because you take, first you take Zyra, and then you take away the counter to Zyra, which is MF, and play it AD. And with the lethality changes, her kit does incredible amount of damage right now. So I think a very smart takeaway there in counter to the Malzahar. Malzahar Jhin, a great lane in its own right, but MF Zyra is very difficult to beat.
And what I like about how Tainted Minds play that out is that they turn to what are the strengths of their bot lane or what the utility they had picked. They've got a Nautilus, they've got themselves a Malzahar, and they turned it into a pick composition. And we saw them illustrating that as it got towards those late games. That's why Direwolves had such a tough time closing it out. Just, having a little bit of a giggle after each time they managed to get a pick just on the side there was really great to see.
I also want to point out one of the big reasons I think that game went on for so long is the Jace pick from Tainted Minds. I think Choo Choo's played a fantastic game, but the itemization that you were touching on earlier with them all building damage meant that this lethality Jace, you could see every time he hit a Q, the team fight was over. Direwolves had to pack it up and go home because they would get chunked to half, they would get chunked to 1/4. Like their itemization made it so easy for Choo Choo, to have a huge impact.
Well, the other thing we were trying to predict going into this game was whether or not Schönfire, the new jungler for the Direwolves, was going to step up into that role. He's replacing Sybil, who's quite a well-respected jungler in the scene. He's had 6 deaths. He's copped six deaths in this first game.
Yep.
How did you feel he went as the resident jungler on the desk, Carbon?
I don't think that was the debut he would have wanted.
Sure.
I think he ended the game 2-6-4 or something like that,
something like that,
which is a pretty poor score. But his early game was pretty good. His pathing early was quite good. He propped up his bot lane a little bit, gave him a bit of pressure. He managed to pick up a kill where Chippy's cancelled his auto for the solo, which was a bit sad for Chippy. I'm sure he'll be upset that he didn't get the solo kill.
Solo carry, man.
But Shen managed to clean that up. He also put a little bit of pressure on mid when he went mid. Unfortunately, missed the cocoon, but was otherwise a good gank. Not the debut I think he would have wanted, but serviceable.
Would you describe it as dominating, Mendrix?
No. Okay. Absolutely not dominating. I mean, we expected him to come into that dominating, and he never really did. He had a few good flashy plays, especially in the Dragon Pit when they did manage to pick up Air Drake. He immediately had a really quick cocoon, which just landed straight onto shoulder ace, and he was pretty much gone afterwards. But
buy one get one free.
Yeah, buy one get one free. I think is as Carbon would like to describe it. And end of the day, though, it wasn't a dominating performance, and to really have that sort of interview afterwards and not deliver. Let's see what he can do in the next game.
All right, well, let's take a look at this team fight in the mid lane. I think it's the first tower. And Mendrix, what do you think is the particular thing you want to take away from this game?
So, as you can see, Choo Choo's doing a great job jumping in there, forcing the fights, but Tainted Minds overextend just a little bit, and immediately Chippies comes and pops off. And it sets up the pace for the rest of the game. Chippies, as Carbon was saying before, it was able to put immense amounts of lane pressure afterwards, and because he was able to do that, he just was able to allow the Direwolves to win the rest of the game.
Yeah, I just want to point out that just before that, what we didn't see in the replay was that Tainted Minds actually just killed, I think, 3 Direwolves for nothing. And they were at a 7k deficit at that point, purely through the lane phase. So a massive comeback team fight out of Tainted Minds. Choo Choo's went for the dive, which I don't think was that bad a play. I think MF had a shutdown gold bonus at the time, so not that bad. Maybe he lives and he saves the game or whatever. But a great Zyra ult out of Destiny with a nice TP follow-up into the Quadra. I don't want to say sealed the game, but made it pretty difficult.
All right. Well, the other thing we were all very much enjoying towards the end of this game was drawing it out with these brushfire surprise ganks. So let's take a look at one of these replays where, well, Carbon, I mean, this is
That is actually a fantastic Nautilus ult. I mean, he flashed it to get all 4 people knocked up. I mean, they did this. I mean, the score is 15-9. I think they ended up like 20 to something. I mean, they did this 4 or 5 times in a row. Direwolves showing no respect or no understanding for the potential bush cheese. I think it was maybe Fish who said it on the cast. Fool me once. Shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Well, they got fooled about 5 or 6 times that game.
Another thing to point out with that actually coming into it is they started, firing rockets randomly into rushes. They had to completely change their gameplay because of the amount of times that Tainted Minds did that to them. And towards the end of it, I saw them finally starting to get those blue trinkets, after it happened the 3rd time. So it made them rethink their plan. But it was definitely a great entertaining show.
All right. Well, we also saw the reaction cams there of the Tainted Mind players very much enjoying having a little giggle there as they camped and cheesed from the brush. That is game 1. Direwolves are up 1-0 in the series. We'll be back with game 2 right after this.
So much damage, narrowly avoids it. Now it's going to be Choo Choo who jumps back in. He kills your boy King and flashes away from it.
Yeah, it certainly does. And now all of a sudden, Destiny in trouble as well.
Chippies is down here looking to try and chase down the low health members. Gets 2, gets 3. Triple kill coming out for Chippies. And lockdown again. It seems like he's going to be caught one more time here by Tainted Mind. Choo Choo so caught in the rain of bullets and bullet time. When they lock down Schönfire, he's the next one to fall. They might have done it again. They lock down Shernfire. He's going to get taken down straight away. Predator Throw taking so much damage to return. Destiny goes on a killing spree with that one. They trade 2 for 1. But now Cake's in trouble. Chippy just slides in right behind them. No! They're going to find them again from the brushes. They strike as Tainted Minds just destroy the direwolves. King is the last man standing. Here they go. They're going for the wolf camp. Oh, from the darkness, Tainted Minds will strike because Churnfire has to repel to get back to safety. But the NCNC Spiders forced to flash.
Onto the Misfortune. Oh my goodness.
That's so much damage. They snipe one. Churnfire's taken down again, walking all over these traps. Tainted Minds. Lots of lockdown towards Fantix. He's going to fall. Choo Choo's lays down the pain. Misfortune will get it with the make it rain. He's still chasing. Destiny's gone. Double kill for Choo Choo's. And Tainted Minds, they're still holding on. Look at Rosie. He can't believe what's happening. Going to take a lot of damage, but look at Chippy's. He will get locked down. Tries to turn it around. There's a big bullet time from King. Shorter Race is going to fall next. One by one, Tainted Minds are going to have to run for the hills.
Capture the vibe. Does the character make sense with the art, with the lore, and with the music? This is all one package. And if it does, then we've all done our job. And if it doesn't, we can improve on it.
Every bar, every decision that's made needs to be based on what works for that character and what does that character feel like.
The concept often is so strong, and then the only thing that can fail is yourself in the execution.
Thank you. One more time, please.
Just keep going.
Nope.
Just keep going and keep going.
Take 82.
I'm not a violinist, but that doesn't seem right.
I don't want to disappoint our players, you know?
If the goal is to create something new, then basically anything's fair game at that point. You're shooting into the darkness.
There's a lot of like crazy technical shit too.
How does it make sense? I think it probably makes literally 0 sense.
We're all gamers. We're all nerds, you know?
We could spend a lot of money during the recording session, get all these instruments, and they make a big ruckus. But if the vibe isn't right, then we've failed in our job.
If you construct a great piece of music that brings people into your world, those things tend to stick around forever. Those memories tend to stick around forever.